Hey guys, this is Andre with the Andre Lifestyle. Welcome back to my channel. This is a self-improvement channel where I document and educate my audience on what I've experienced in the military, the health and fitness rules that I live by, the self-improvement books that I've read, and the travel destinations that I recommend. Subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with new, great content every week.
Alright, so this video is called The Hardest Part About Coast Guard Bootcamp. If you're interested, stay tuned for this video. It's going to be very educational. Alright, so let's get right into the video. The number one thing for me in Coast Guard Bootcamp, one of the things that were the hardest for me during Coast Guard Bootcamp was memorizing required knowledge. Now if you see me looking at my left, boom, got my laptop there, looking at all the notes that I wrote down. I had to brainstorm all of them. But number one is memorizing required knowledge. Required knowledge is so crucial during Coast Guard Bootcamp. Definitely one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. If you're really good at memorizing things really quickly in a short amount of time, it's gonna be easy for you. But if you're not, you're gonna have a tough time. So what I recommend before you even go to boot camp is to study as much as you can. Of course, you're not going to get to know everything, all the required knowledge. Of course, you're not going to know everything, right? But at least you'll know most of it. So then that gives you leverage. That gives you an advantage, right? Okay. So memorizing required knowledge. That's number one. Number two, learning how to talk correctly. Now, I've talked about this in previous vlogs. Learning how to talk correctly. What I mean by that is when you go to Coast Guard Bootcamp, they're gonna implement a way of talking, right? So instead of just asking your company commander a question, you're gonna say, for example, Petty Officer Smith, Seaman Recruit Miller, I request to know, right? That's me asking a question. So you're gonna say your company commander's rank and name, and then you're gonna say your rank and name, and everyone's rank and name is Seaman Recruit, right? And followed by I request to know, and then you say your question, right? Now when you're giving an answer, if your company commander is asking you a question, he's saying, what's your first general order? You're going to say, Petty Officer Smith, Seaman Recruit Miller, my first general order is, followed by the answer. Alright? Those are the hardest things for me to learn throughout boot camp. Those two things. Memorizing required knowledge in a timely manner, right? Learning how to talk correctly. Next thing, the 100-meter swim. All right. I did not think it was going to be that difficult. I can swim, right? What I recommend for people that are weak swimmers or like me, I don't consider myself the greatest swimmer, but I'm not the worst swimmer. I'm in the middle, right? I'm average. People that are average swimmers, when you do the 100-meter swim, you're timed, right? So your first instinct is to go as fast as you can. That's a big mistake. You need to pace yourself, just like running. When you're running 2 miles, you need to pace yourself. Because if you use up all your energy in the first mile, the second mile you're gonna have a horrible time. So every single half mile, every mile, you progress, right? Same thing with swimming. So my recommendation is when you're going for the 100-meter swim, relax, be calm. It's gonna be okay, all right? Take your time with it. Go at a moderate rate. You're gonna make the time, guaranteed. Promise you, all right? Next thing, I don't remember what this is called. The first thing that came to my mind was Firewatch. Firewatch was basically I think there's four or five people that are, maybe 6 people that are awake at all times throughout the night, right? And everyone takes turns in the whole company, right? They need to be woken up to get relieved. So let's say I'm security during the night. Once my time is up, I'm doing it for 1 hour, right? I'm looking at my watch. All right, the hour's up. Oh, let me say, in 5 minutes, my hour's up, right? So I go upstairs and I go to I go where everyone's sleeping, all the racks, and I'm looking for the name of the person that's up next. There's a list. I'm looking for his name, looking. I find him, I wake him up. I'm like, hey, it's your turn to relieve me. He wakes up, he gets off his rack, and now he relieves me. Once he relieves me, now I can go back to sleep. So I rush over to my rack and I go back to sleep. And this is this list is about the hardest things in boot camp. This is hard because you're being woken up in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? So you don't get 100% 7 hours of sleep, 7.5 hours of sleep, or whatever they say, right? Because you're being woken up in the middle of the night, right? So you're feeling tired the next day. You're feeling a little groggy and stuff like that, right? Next thing, keeping your bunk organized. Okay, so when you're in Coast Guard boot camp, they're regularly gonna be expecting your bunk, right? It's hard to do that because randomly they have inspections. Even if your bunk is organized, they're just gonna mess with you. So they're gonna tell everyone to stand by your bunk, you and your bunkmate. You're both standing in that position of attention, and they just go through your bunk. And even if your bunk is correct, they're just messing with you. They're gonna throw everything out, everything all over the place. That's why you need to put your initials on everything, because you're gonna lose if you don't put your initials on everything. You're gonna lose your stuff. You're gonna lose your socks. You're gonna lose your underwear. You're gonna lose a bunch of other things, right? Your shirts, right? So that's why they say put your initials on everything. That way there's no confusion. All right. The next hardest thing was beatings. And I've talked about beatings in previous vlogs. It's not actual beatings. No one's hitting you. Beatings are, like in the army, they call them smokings. When you're getting smoked in the army, you're doing physical activity. They're punishing you with physical activity. Same thing in the Coast Guard. They're punishing you with physical activity. So this is hard because it's not what you would expect in the Coast Guard, right? In the Army, it was different. You're doing push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that's not what they do in Coast Guard boot camp, but there are many times, and I hated this, you would stay inside the barracks and they would make you sweat. Now, what they mean by making you sweat is you'd be inside. There's 100+ recruits inside this small hallway that goes around like a racetrack, right? And they would make you hold things in front of you, right? They close all the doors. Just from the warmth of every human being in the room, it eventually got hot inside that small hallway, right? So all the windows would get fogged up. And not only that, you're sweating all over the place, and you're holding things out in front of you. They see anyone drop their freaking canteen down, their weapon down, anything like that, then it's another 5 minutes added on, another 2 minutes added on, whatever they decide to do at that moment. And I hated that. It sucked so much doing that. Okay. Next thing the hardest thing about Coast Guard boot camp was getting beat because of someone else's mistakes. This is gonna happen a lot, all right? And especially in the beginning. So towards the end of boot camp, if you're if you're a recruit that is a troublemaker, continue to make mistakes towards the end, you're not gonna make it. They're gonna revert you, right? But in the beginning, the first 2-3 weeks, I would say an estimate, everyone's gonna pay for every mistake that you make. So don't be that guy that gets everyone in trouble. All right. So yeah, that's that. Next thing is this one. This is actually really difficult for a lot of people. Staying awake in class. So you're gonna be during Coast Guard Bootcamp. You go through a lot of classes, and one of them is a hard thing about the classes is staying awake. So because you do the Firewatch thing, I forget exactly what it's called. I know it's not called Firewatch. I forget what it's called. Someone will correct me in the comments. Someone that's in the Coast Guard that just recently graduated. Right now, I just can't think about it. But because you're being woken up in the middle of the night to do their Firewatch or whatever, you don't get 100% of a good night's sleep, right? So the next day, you have classes. And sometimes these classes aren't as entertaining as you would hope they would be. They can be boring sometimes, what I'm trying to say, right? If you get caught sleeping in one of these classes, everyone's getting punished automatically. And you're probably gonna get probation, which means you can get a red belt. If you guys don't know what that means, look at my other vlogs. You might get ramp. If you don't know what that means, look at my other vlogs. So there's a bunch. You might get a counseling. There's a bunch of different disciplinary actions that can be taken against you if you continue falling asleep in class. And it's difficult to stay awake. One way that I learned to stay awake is just be constantly writing something and occupying your mind, even daydreaming, thinking about something, so that way you don't fall asleep. Okay. The last thing that I have on this list is maintaining your military bearing at all times. Now, I've explained in previous vlogs why this is so important, and the reason I talk about it in my previous vlogs is because I got in trouble for feeling like I was safe when I wasn't. All right? So don't ever think for 1 second that you're safe in Coast Guard Bootcamp. Someone is always watching you no matter where you are. Always maintain your military bearing. What I mean by that is don't smile, don't laugh, don't joke around. Be quiet when you need to be. Do what you're supposed to be doing. It's simple. Be in the right uniform, be there on time, and do as you're told. Right? That's it. And you're gonna be okay. And yeah, so that's the end of this video. If you made it all the way through, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like this video. If what else? If you like this video, comment, share this video, subscribe to my channel. And also, if you guys want a one-on-one with me, you guys can email me at theandrelifestyle@gmail.com. I'll provide the link there in the description below. You can follow me on Instagram at theandrelifestyle. Yeah, and that's about it, guys. I hope you guys found this video beneficial to you. If you're getting ready for boot camp very, very soon, good luck to you. Don't give up. You're gonna make it through. If I made it, I know you can make it. So yeah, that's it. And again, thank you for watching. I love you all. Thank you. Peace.